Well, hello, this is Colin.
And this is Nigel with yet another Encore Years broadcast.
And
Podcast.
it's all about retirement and learning
Yes.
to love it. And we release one of these episodes every week. So as everyone else says, please just hit the subscribe button. And then every time a new one comes up, you'll get a little ping to
I promise I
suggest you
will.
what.
I promise I will.
I don't think we're allowed to. I keep trying.
We can't do our own. All right.
So
Good.
today's a little bit different in that we're doing each other. So instead of us finding people who, want to be interviewed, we're going to interview each other. And so Nigel interviewed me last week, and now it's my turn to interview Nigel. And I'm really looking forward to this.
And I'm terrified.
I hope so. So here we go. So what did you do in your career, Nigel?
Mainly hospitality, working in hotels. That's the biggest part of my career, working at every level and finally making general manager and then managing director of a company and then owning my own hotel, working for several years as a consultant. So it's all been focused around hotels.
Right. But I think you're being a teeny bit modest here because this is the figure that gets me. How old were you when you were made general manager of the Richmond Hill Hotel?
27.
Extraordinary, Nigel, because this is, definitely biggest hotel in Richmond and area, one of the premier ones. And I know the stories you've told me of, you had royalty in there. I think Princess Anne, was it?
Yes.
Then you had Ronnie Wood across the road coming in for cigars and, all of this sort of stuff. And we were all very, very proud of you.
Well, Richmond Hill had so many celebrities. It was unbelievable. We had Mick Jagger next door and Ronnie Wood over the road and Tommy Steele down the hill, who nobody remembers now. Richmond was a great place. Still is a great place to live if you can afford it.
Yeah. But what was that? 27, you're just about 7 or 8 years out of college and you're running this big place. What was that like?
Well, it was absolutely terrifying. And it was a big place to run. I had about 100 staff. And so I really had to learn as I went on. I was actually general manager of another hotel before that, much smaller one. But there was no way I was ready for a job like this. It was terrifying. First 5 years were hell.
But obviously they thought you were. And then, so what happened? So how long were you there? And then what happened after the Richmond Hill
I
Hotel?
was there 20 years. And for the last sort of 8 of those years, I became managing director of the company. And we had 3 hotels and a lovely leisure club at the back of the Richmond Hill and the Richmond Gate hotels.
And then you moved on, or what happened after that?
Well, what happened was I attempted and led a team to do a management buyout, spent a year in the city, had my team who were all signed up as members of the buyout, my senior team. And at the last moment, it failed. And so fortunately, I was made redundant because I wouldn't be wanted by a new company coming in to run the hotel. They wouldn't want me. So fortunately, I got a redundancy. I was lucky to get it. And then Maura, my wife, and I left Richmond and bought a hotel in the Cotswolds.
So a huge change there from London to the Cotswolds.
Well, not only that, but the difference between managing a company and owning a company, although much smaller, is massive. And also, when you own a small hotel, we have 21 bedrooms, restaurant, bar, you have to do everything yourself almost. And I had people, I had 250 staff in Richmond in the end. So I couldn't even do my own faxing or anything like that. I had people do everything for me. So I had to learn technology. I had to learn how to be back on the floor again. Because it's probably sort of 30 years since I'd been, no, not 30, but many years since I'd actually been on the floor. So it was a whole new learning curve.
Right. And then, so you sold the the hotel in the Cotswolds. Was that when you sort of you retired from work, or what happened then?
Well, it's not. It's a bit strange because, yes, after 10 years, we sold the hotel. And fortunately, we sold it quite well because you don't actually make a lot of money running a hotel. But if you put your money back into it, any surplus money, you can add value to it. And that's what we did. So we sold it for double what we paid for it after 10 years. But that was the start of my consultancy career when we sold and moved out, stayed in the area.
So how old were you approximately when you sold?
56, I think, something like that.
There's still, you know, uh, you're way before retirement, perhaps.
Yes. I mean, I didn't even think about retiring then. There was so much more I wanted to do. I was never sure what exactly, but I wanted to do everything. So I became a consultant in the end and had so many different jobs. It was unbelievable. But for not just hotels, for a charity, I was a consultant for them. And all the different, I had an idea of the type of work I wanted to do, but I got steered into all kinds of different directions, which I really enjoyed. And so I was a consultant, I think, for about 16, 17 years.
So if you had that time again at 56, a little bit of money in the bank, would you have done anything differently at that stage?
I think I would. I think I would have gone into, I'd love to be a teacher or a lecturer, but to do that, I did go on a course. But I should have done more. That one course wasn't enough. I should have done more and more of that, and become fully trained, retrained then.
Yeah.
But I sort of got drawn in so many different directions on the consulting that it sort of slipped away a bit. But I've got no regrets at all. You can't have regrets, can you? But luckily, I found work all the time, and it never stopped. It was only last year that I closed my company down.
So this is about 20 odd years. So you're still working until last year.
Yeah, that's right. But I had a business partner, another hotelier, and we weren't, to be honest, we weren't working flat out. We were probably working 2-3 days a week, something like that, and mainly in London, but all over the place. Even did a little work abroad as well. So we were never out of work, which was good.
And I remember sort of early days at Richmond Hill Hotel, you got involved in the poppy factory, and you've done a huge amount for them as a volunteer. And I know you've set up whole things to get service guys back into work. Amazing work.
Yes, it was all about, in those days, it was getting disabled ex-service men and women into the work they wanted to do. But I had sort of 3 parts of my 33 years at the poppy factory. And that was, I was a trustee, a director for a number of years. And then I traveled around the country working for them. And it was paid the 4 years I tried to set up the scheme where we didn't just work within the factory, but we wanted to help ex-service all around the country. So I spent 4 years trying to set that up. And at the same time, I did that part-time. At the same time, I was starting my own consultancy business as well. So it was quite a frantic time, a lot of traveling, as you could imagine. I had the energy of relative youth, I think, at the time. I couldn't do it now. Oh, no.
And so what has replaced that? So the sort of the earning side is, you've done that, finished that. What have you replaced all this with?
I'm a writer. I've been writing part-time for about 10 years or more. And so now I'm a full-time writer. So my majority of my activity, though I'm not under pressure anymore to produce anything, although I try to write every day, research every day, and I would like to get some more books out. I've had 5 books self-published on historical fiction, and that means I do a huge amount of active research. A bit of traveling. A lot of my books are set in the Middle East. So I've been to some parts of the Middle East to research. So I'm absolutely hooked on writing now. I love it. And I've had to cut myself off from hospitality, which hasn't always been easy. But you can't live in the past. You have to move on. You have to say,
Mm,
that's it, and be disciplined enough, because believe you me, writing takes every bit of energy, concentration,
mm,
and skill that you've got. And it's not just researching and writing, it's marketing as well, and trying to
yeah,
sell a few books, which is
yeah.
quite hard work. As a self-published author, I belong to two writing groups as well, one for marketing, one for quality of English, which I'm sadly lacking in sometimes, they tell me. And I travel to book fairs and markets within a radius of 30, 40 miles from where I live in Cheltenham.
So
Uh,
these other authors, are they sort of, they've been authors all their life?
Not one of them. It's all something they took up later, which is amazing. I don't know one who's written all their lives. They've all had other careers, which I think is a good, healthy thing, really,
Mm,
for them. It means they've got a lot of life experience they can bring. And I think most authors remember characters from the past, and without them knowing it, they put them in their books.
mm,
And
right.
so they've had a lot of life experience before they started writing. I mean, one chap who's the leader of one of our groups was an IBM international salesman
Yeah.
until a few years ago, and now he's a hugely successful author.
Mm, mm. That's just so interesting. So a completely different group, completely different for all of the authors. So if you had to advise someone, you're talking to your best pal in the pub who says, "Nigel, I'm going to retire tomorrow," what would be the advice you'd give?
Well, firstly, I haven't got time to go to the pub. Yes, I'm too busy. But in that situation, I would say volunteer. First of all, I think that's very, very important. But do what makes you happy.
Mm, mm, yeah,
Spend
yeah,
time with family. I think that's very important, because when you're working, work is a very demanding mistress. And I think we don't give enough attention, many of us, to our family. And I certainly didn't
yeah, yeah,
enough. So it's lovely to spend time and help the grandchildren and children. So, um, and do whatever really makes you happy. And if it
yeah.
doesn't work, drop it and try something else.
Something else. Great advice. So for you, Nigel, what's next?
What's next is family, writing. I'm.
Mm,
It takes me sometimes up to 3 years to get one book out because of all the research and
mm.
write everything else. So I've had five, and I would like to do a few more before the end. So I'm working flat out. I've just about got the next one ready. It's going to go to the editor soon, and I'm having the cover designed. Expensive business to produce a book.
Yes,
And
yes.
then a sort of launch, I hope, in the midsummer. And then I've got another book I've started, I got about halfway through, which is a part two of another series I'm doing. I want to get that complete. So another, half a dozen books would great.
That's a great target, Nigel. So we'll definitely put a link at the end of this so people can have a look at the books and hopefully
Okay.
buy a few.
Oh, please. With being an indie author, we don't have the benefit of the having a publisher. If it is a benefit, it's not something I would want to do. Have a publisher. I did once, and I wouldn't want to do it again. I think it's better to be, and in fact, the vast majority of authors are indie authors. And
Indeed.
incidentally, one
Yep.
of the things I'm working on is I'm having meetings with live in Cheltenham, the Cheltenham Literary Festival. They don't seem to have any indie authors there. So I'm working with them at the moment to see if we can get some in this year, which it happens in October. I'd involve the groups of people that I meet with, obviously,
Yep.
to get as many indie authors supporting it.
Right. That's a great great project for you. So have I missed anything? Any other burning questions I
Well,
should have asked?
and no, I've been in Rotary as well for
Yes.
about 20 years. And Rotary or other organizations, there are plenty of them to seek out when you've got retirement coming. I was a Rotarian while I was working, and that wasn't always easy. As you could imagine, it's quite demanding. But I've got no regrets. I thoroughly enjoyed Rotary. It gave one a lot of confidence in, particularly in speaking. And I enjoy
Yes.
being a speaker now at talking about my books or talking about the Poppy Factory and this sort of thing. I really enjoy it, using PowerPoint and what have you. And I must say, Rotary gives you a lot of confidence to do something like that. I'm not a Rotarian anymore, but I've been in 2 clubs now. I've been president of each club.
So
Had the most wonderful experiences.
interesting word night, confidence, that you
Yeah,
kind of assume, at our age, oh, he'll be a confident person. But actually, if you don't keep doing this stuff, like speaking, presenting, or whatever, then it's very, very easy to lose it.
it is. It is. It is. I mean, life's all about confidence. Anyway, and it was the Poppy Factory work, as a matter of interest, was helping disabled ex-service into work. For them, it was all about confidence because many of them, not just
Mm,
disabled, many service men and women who leave the forces lack confidence. And that's the
mm,
one thing you've got to try and instill in them, get their confidence back. They had it in the forces, but many, in
yeah.
fact, nearly all of them I've met have
God.
lost their confidence when they come out of the services. So you've got to try and restore that confidence in them so that they can get a job in civilian life.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's definitely a highlight we should, bring out from this confidence.
Confidence, yeah.
Interesting word.
Yeah. I wish I had it myself. I've never really had it. I know, I'm not like you. You're not.
No, the other way around. So, well, just wonderful time talking to you, Nigel, and it's
Thank you.
terrific. I find the whole process of this encore that we're doing is wonderful, and we've spoken to sort of a dozen people now, and there are quite a few others, lining up to be part of this and share all their advice. So,
Well,
thank
I
you
know
very much.
you and I have learnt so much from it. We really didn't know. We've had some amazing people. We've learnt from it. And I know that many people have told me that they look at our podcasts and they've learnt from it. They've been really impressed by not
Mm.
by me, but by the people we've interviewed and what they've actually achieved and the ideas they have. Just fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful. Right? So that's it. Thank you, Bryce. That was the inspirational. And so it's encore and out from me.
Encore and out from me too. Thank you.
Well, Nigel, thanks so much for that. That was just so interesting. Lots of, wonderful, career that you had, all sorts of things you did, and lots of advice. And one of the things that jumped out at me was, when you got to 56, by which time you've run huge hotels, you've had your own hotel things, then you're saying, I wouldn't have minded just retraining. So what a great advice. 56, let's retrain because you've got at least 10 or in your case, 20 more years of work ahead of you. So I really like that one, retraining.
Great. Yes, thank you. The other thing that I said is don't live in the past. Move on. Have no regrets because you can't change the past. It's been and gone and done. And also, just to add, I think one of the worst things in retirement, nobody cares what you used to do. It's not relevant anymore. It's what you can do in the future.
Yeah, I could completely agree. And then you talked about do whatever makes you happy. And if it's not working, try something new and the importance of volunteering and keeping busy. That came across very strongly.
Thank you. And the other thing is to have confidence. And there is a saying called imposter syndrome, which people know about. And you just have to brazen your way through that so that nobody knows you don't know what the bloody hell you're talking about.
And that's so interesting because you don't think of retirement, you don't think the word confidence being relevant, but you're absolutely, it's really relevant.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, with the working with the poppy factory, with the ex-service men and women, it's the one thing that was extraordinary they all shared when they came out of the forces was a lack of confidence.
Mm. And that could be at 40 years old or any age, I guess.
Yeah, well, if they're injured, it can be 20.
Yeah, get that. Right. And the final thing, and you phrase this really well, so time for family, because when you're working, and I know you in hotels, it was 7 days a week. You were doing, 80, 90 hours every single week. And so now we've got a bit of extra time. Make time for family. Very,
And
very important.
enjoy it.
So there we are, Nigel. So thanks again. Really enjoyed that, and lots of good tips, lots of good
Well,
advice.
thank you for the interview, bro.
Right,
Really
right.
good.
Well, let's do it again very soon. Okay.
Absolutely.
Bye, Nigel.
Bye.